Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Enigmatic Entertainment back again with another video. And this time we're going to be going over the sixth solo studio album by Kid Cudi, Passion Pain and Demon Slayin. This is the follow-up to Speed and Bullet to Heaven. And this is also a double disc, and it was released almost exactly a year after Speed and Bullet to Heaven. And has a completely different sound to that album, more so along the lines of like the experimental or alternative hip hop that Cudi had on his first two albums, Man on the Moon 1 and 2. And it's a little bit more of a return to form for Kid Cudi. At least in my opinion, but hey. This is also divided into acts, just like Man on the Moon 1 and 2. So, Act 1, Track 1. This is Frequency. And the act is called Tuned. Frequency is kind of cool. You know, it starts the album off, we have this song that's just, it has a background instrument in it that kind of sounds like one of my mother's old coffee makers, it just sounds like coffee is being made. It's just kind of odd. It also fits with the title because there's another sound that sounds like some kind of radio-like noise, which goes inside of Frequency. It's a bit hypnotic and soothing in a way. Cudi sings and raps smoothly over this beat about women, sex, and shrooms. Nothing too out of the ordinary for him, but his flow is pretty nice here. You really wouldn't think this is a song about sex, based on the chorus and the bridge, with being so laid back, talking about, widening your views and whatnot. But then, this is one of those songs where I go to look up the lyrics, and I'm like, oh, alright, so that's what he's actually saying. I really didn't pay attention that much prior, to the lyrics. Just kind of vibing with the chorus, the bridge, and the instrumental and whatnot. Not a bad track, though, really. Track 2 is Swim in the Light. This brings the album back to a topic that Cudi has often addressed on previous albums: drug addiction and pain. The chorus has Cudi, wailing about numbing the pain, but it never goes away. Very telling and a reflection of how we use drugs to sometimes numb pain, whether physical or otherwise. One of the darker songs on the album, honestly, subject matter wise, and also one of my favorites. Great song. You can try to numb the pain, but it will never go away. Very relatable, Cudi, very relatable. Track 3 is Releaser. Here we have a track that's like Cudi's whisper singing, and it features Casey Hills, which is a singer, on the bridge. I really don't know what's going on in this track. It has a bit of an eerie and haunting instrumental and a random break from the singing somewhere in the middle of the song where Cudi's just kind of harmonizing. Then he goes right back into the singing. I know this is a track that a lot of people seem to like, but this is one of the very few songs on here that is just a skip for me. There's not much else to say about it. Skip. Track 4, By Design. Now here, things lift right the hell back up. Quite catchy. A bit of a dance tune, with a somewhat Caribbean sounding beat at least, which is of course very relevant for me being, This features rapper Andre 3000 from the hip hop duo Outkast, for those that may not have heard of him. He's also featured on a later song on this album too, and one of the more curious things about this album is the fact that Andre's on it twice, considering that he's often applauded as one of the best rappers ever to rap. Is definitely something to be mentioned. You are hard-pressed to find one Andre 3000 feature on a new album. So, hey, both of these are standout tracks though, by the way, and no diss to Cudi, but Andre carries these songs because he's just that talented. There's no diss to Cudi whatsoever, though. Andre doesn't really do a verse on here. He kind of does the chorus and shares a verse with Cudi. And overall, it's a song I thoroughly enjoy and one of the catchier, more upbeat tracks on the album. Kind of just focus on going with the flow, and not messing things up, really. Hence the title, things were meant to go this way, so have fun with it. Basically, it's all by design. You know what I mean? It was made to be that way, and this is just an amazing track. Not top 3 or anything like that for me, but I definitely like it. Next up is track 5, All In. It starts off with waves crashing on a beach, and then slowly turned into a track that easily is yet again one of my favorites on this album. A beautiful and open, honest track from Cudi about being truly all in with the people. Seemingly spoken to a woman, like in a relationship maybe, about, how no one makes him feel secure except for her, and how he's all in with the relationship, ready to face whatever comes their way because of their commitment to one another. Truly one of the best songs on the album, without a doubt. Also, one of the more relatable tracks for me. I felt that way, like, you're the only one that can really, make me feel secure. It's relatable. You know what I mean? And being dedicated, loyalty, these are things that I truly try to embody and look for in my own personal life with my friends and relationships. Also, apparently, this is the only track produced on the album by Mike Will Made It. You might know him from working with Ray Shremmerd and other, newer rappers and whatnot. And Miley Cyrus and, all that stuff. This is the first song of Cudi's that I've seen produced by Mike Will Made It, so that's kind of interesting tidbit. But anyways, thanks to songs like these, I'm really all in with Cudi too. I'll pretty much listen to any album he puts out, at least give it a listen and test it out, you know what I mean? And this is why I dedicate a whole series of videos to him. His music, at least. Next up is track 6, Illusions. And it's like stylized like capital L, like ILL, like ill, like disease and sickness and whatnot. This starts Act 2, by the way. Act 2 is called Prophecy. This speaks on the darkness in Cudi's mind, depression, suicidal thoughts, and the stuff that he's really mentioned frequently on his albums in the past. He references a time when he was 13, being alone, possibly because his father passed when he was 11. So at 13, of course, he was still growing and still, dealing with it. He also referenced being 23, which is apparently the time when he started recording the music for his mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi, as well as his debut studio album, Man on the Moon. And, the ill part of the album, the track on the album, rather, possibly has to do with, like, mental illness. That's why it's, like, illusions, because, he mentions demons and hallucinations as well, which, can come from maybe drug addiction and mental illness and whatnot. Another one of my standout tracks, and easily one of the most listened to songs on the album by me. Probably my number 1 or 2 most listened to song. These illusions in my head. Next up is track 7, Rose Golden. This is like a duet with Willow Smith, the younger sister of Jaden Smith, daughter of Will and Jada. This is a song about moving to the beat of your own drum, being yourself, and taking charge of things to be successful and improve your life. Truly inspirational, really. This is more upbeat, triumphant, confident sounding of them, as opposed to some more solemn songs on the album about mental illness and addiction. The idea of Willow Smith and Kid Cudi on a freaking song together at first didn't make no dang freaking sense to me, but they pulled it off. It's not one of my favorite tracks. But it's pretty dang cool nonetheless. I expected much worse of it, and it kind of warmed up to me a little bit, I got it. I started to like it a little bit more as I listened more to the song and the album and kind of get what they were trying to do. Cudi and Willow, they brush off the haters together, you know what I'm saying? They spread love and sing about being the chosen one, which also happens to be Kid Cudi's Twitter handle, which is pretty cool. Next up is track 8, Baptized in Fire. A wild title for a song, but this one features Travis Scott on the chorus, and this is my other least favorite song on the album. Skip. The vocal effects Cudi and Travis used on their voices, mixed with the overly noisy production, skip, just go on and on, it seems. Skip. I can just do without it, honestly. Skip. Did I mention skip? Right down to track 9. Flight at First Sight / Advanced. This is one of the few tracks on here featuring production by Pharrel. There's like 3 of them, I believe. And it also features him singing on the second part of the song, which is Advanced. Flight at First Sight, has Cudi singing about, taking flight at first sight. Taking Flight at First Sight, which is basically like Love at First Sight, you know, because you're taking a lift off, and he's like the man on the moon, so he's going to mention flying and everything like that. It makes sense. And he's clearly basically fallen in love with this woman. He mentions her being like a hypnotist and not being able to wait any longer. Clearly, he's entranced, which he blatantly does state in the second part of the song. He's like, I am entranced with you. I would like to advance with you, or however he phrases it. I'm not doing it verbatim. But, you know, he probably wants to take her, you know, to the next level in the relationship. Like, you know, I want to advance with you and all that stuff. If she's willing to as well, of course. Funny enough, though, for some reason, my version of the album, I bought the CD, double disc, you know me, physical media and all that. It doesn't list advanced in the title for this song at all. It just says Flight at First Sight when I put the CD in and popped it and was listening to it and all that stuff. So I didn't know that the second part was advanced in the title until I looked it up when I was like looking up the lyrics and whatnot. But it is indeed split into two parts. Cudi ends the song in the outro speaking about how he does it, which leads right into the next track. Track number 10, Does It. This is a braggadocious rapid fire track full of confidence and triumph, like a return to Cudi spitting how he did on some tracks on the first Man on the Moon. He shed his low self-esteem. He shrugged off the haters. He's basking in his talents and success he's had without worry for what people have to say about him and his music. It's a big screw you to the haters, the media, and anyone else that really gets in his way or attempts to bring him down. Cudi just does it, and that's all there is to it. You feel me? That, I believe, ends the first disc, as well as Act 2, which takes us to track 11, Act 3, Dance for Eternity. And the act is called Niveau de l'amour. I believe it is French, and it means levels of love, from what I've found through translators and whatnot. This starts the third act, second disc. This act overall is my favorite, probably, and the only one that has no features. You can assume by the title, this track is about like dancing with the woman in question, quite more relaxed than the previous track, and more focused on Cudi being entranced once again with the way this woman moves her body, and how pleasurable it is to be together, and how they're enjoying each other's time. With all the references though, to like seeing her body wet and, you know, all that, I'm like, this is either really a hot room, or they're not necessarily dancing, if you catch my drift. Anyways, this isn't really a track that I find myself going back to often, especially compared to some of the other songs in this act. This is one of the few tracks on the album that I could have just been shortened a little bit, took off a minute or two, and it would have been much better off. Also, you know, like I said, apparently this means level of love, which makes a lot of sense because most of these songs in this act are about love or romance in some way, for the most part. Next up is track 12, Distant Fantasies. This is a song about past relationships where Cudi clearly feels like he left some kind of mental mark on this chick. He starts off telling the woman that he knows how she's still thinking about him and how she's fronting for her new man. Pretty dang bold of Cudi, honestly, to make this assumption, but hey, he's feeling himself. I get it. Confident. Basically, this woman moved on, but is still thinking of Cudi and all the good sex and stuff like that they used to have when they were together and all the passion between them. Very relatable. I've been there, Cudi. He disses the guy, talking about how corny he is and whatnot. And this is easily one of the songs I find myself replaying all the time and thinking about, yo, I would probably make this kind of song myself. I'm just that glad. Like, if I was rapping, I'd find myself making a song like this. It's kind of funny. You know, towards the later part of the song, he basically admits that he might actually want her back, but he isn't trying to persuade her. And that he's bored with the hoes and empty sex that he's been having, and, you know, wants her to stop denying her feelings. And he admits that, you know, women realize that empty sex is really pretty much meaningless, that women pick up on that quicker than men do. And I take his word for that. I understand what he's saying. Once again, pretty dang bold of Cudi. But I can definitely relate at times, so I understand what he's saying. But also, this production is pretty dang eerie and hypnotizing sounding, you know? It gives you the feeling of Cudi being in his woman's head still, as the lyrics imply. Great song and another standout track for me. Easily, like I'd say, top 5 on the album for me, But hey, Distant Fantasies. I know you still think about me. Next up is track 13, Wounds. Another one of the best tracks on this album. I don't know where to freaking start. Wounds speaks to the freaking emotional wounds and troubles haunting Kid Cudi. Lines like, I did everything right, so why aren't I whole? Just hurts. It just hurts and it relates so much. Oh my god. Like, I feel that way all the time. Honestly, I do. Like, I'm, why isn't it working? Why don't I feel better? How do we get past it? It speaks to trauma, sometimes very deep-seated trauma that we have dealt with at times, and sometimes we can't even recognize it because we're so messed up inside. Cudi urges the listener to be true to themselves, not get down over being the person that we don't want to be yet. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't reached that peak. We're still working towards it. The need to dig deep within oneself is a classic struggle and a classic topic, and he handles it pretty well here. The production also sounds amazing, showing he truly stepped his game up, as well as picked some good producers to work with as well for this album. Next up is track 14, Mature Nature. And once again, I know I've said it before, but this is another track that's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorite Kid Cudi songs ever. It's pretty sparse lyrically. He ain't really saying much, but it just sounds beautiful. This is one of the songs you could definitely just kick back and smoke a joint to and enjoy the relaxing vibe that it exudes. Cudi sings and hums about being in heaven with this woman in question and just genuinely enjoying each other. Again. He then goes on to rap a short verse, about a grown woman on the dance floor, with her phone in her purse. Hinting at the fact that, as the title says, she has a mature nature. She's mature-minded and is not getting wrapped up with her cell phone, but is indeed living in a moment of the night. Definitely something I can relate to. Don't you ever get frustrated when the person you're with is on their phone instead of enjoying each other's time together? I can't stand it. Don't do that if you're around me. Don't be on your phone all the time. Just don't. But hey, to sum it up, this song is sexy. It's beautiful. It's a standout track. And also happens to be the shortest one on the album, which isn't all that short because a lot of these songs, or almost every single one of them, is over 4 minutes long, or 5 or 6. Next up is track 15, Kitchen. And continuing with the love theme of this act, this song is all about Cudi wanting to find the right woman, just lay low. Not be out about drawing attention from paparazzi fans, so on and so forth. The drum pattern kind of sounds a little bit familiar to a R&B song by singer Eno J. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She made a cover of Love You Down by Ready for the World. Listen to her version, and the drum pattern kind of sounds similar. But maybe, hey, that's just me. I just listen to a lot of music. I freaking love it, hey. The stay out of the kitchen lines in this song and the title are a reference, to if you're not able to handle it, get out of the kitchen, Basically saying, he's like, if you're not looking for the same kind of relationship I am, don't put yourself in the relationship with me. If you can't handle my love, get out the kitchen. This is how I handle my relationships. This is the kind of relationship that I want. This is the kind of man that I am. And the story. Very relatable, very understandable. Cudi, I get it. I get it. Trust me. I definitely get it. Next up is track 16, which begins Act 4. This one's called It's Bright and Heaven is Warm. And the track is called Cosmic Warrior. It starts off the 4th act, and, the title of the act seems to be a reference to DMX's debut studio album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. Which is wild, because I'm like, did Cudi really do that on purpose? Because DMX, that album is one of my favorite albums. I have that sitting in my closet too, and I might review that one next, because that's classic. In this song, Cudi is the Cosmic Warrior. Just like Man on the Moon, 1 and 2, and Satellite Flight. It's space related. And he talks about being a Cosmic Warrior legend. The space hero narrative just continues, and Cudi does pretty dang good with it. Like a few other tracks, lyrically, there's not much to to break down here, but sonically, I can definitely rock with it. Next up is The Guide, track 17. This starts off with the distinct sound of heels clicking on the floor. Perhaps the woman in question is walking over to Cudi. I mean, the song is called The Guide after all, so perhaps she's guiding him somewhere. Maybe the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? This is another song. Like, this is the second one that I mentioned earlier that features Andre 3000. 3 stacks. And out of the two, this is the one that is freaking my preference. Andre spits one of the best verses on the album here. And it shows why he's considered great, despite not even having any solo albums, really. Easily one of the best tracks and most cohesive on the album, sticks to the subject matter quite well. The sound of the heels from the beginning turned into a full-blown instrumental. Now, the heel clicking gets kind of drowned out a little bit, but it's still audible in the background if you really listen close. Perhaps telling us that despite everything going on around the instrumental, that woman is still walking towards her goal. She's still guiding us. And she never stopped her walk. The evolution sonically mixed with the hums of Cudi is just spectacular. The chorus has like, they're like, where you going? Where you going? Where you going? And it's like, once again, ties back into the heels clicking and walking away. Now they're walking away because you can't hear them as well because of the instrumental drowning it out. And the chorus, they're saying, where are you going? It's like the woman's walking away from them. But overall, lyrically, the song is really about a strong, sexy, confident woman who knows what she wants. And I love it. I love dang near everything about this song. This is easily a top 3 song on the album for me. And another one of my most played songs that I can go back to and listen to right now, honestly. Definitely good. I love The Guide. Next up is track 18, The Commander. So Cudi is a cosmic warrior. He knows a guide. And he is a commander. Look at these titles. That was cool. This one's all about taking control of destiny and draw similarities to Heart of a Lion from Man on the Moon 1. If you go listen to the bridge on that track, then come back and listen to this song. The oh no, 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 yeah. That's from Heart of a Lion. I like the reference, you know what I mean? But, like a lion commands like fear and respect, and there's like a leader, and this is the commander. Cool. Very relatable theme. Albeit not this is one of my least played songs on the album, though. Not bad. More confidence from Cudi in fighting of mental health issues and addiction. Once again, I understand it. Just not my favorite song on the album. More so towards the bottom, honestly. But hey, it's all good. Next up is track 19. And that is Surfin', the lead single from the album, and a triumphant return to Cudi feeling good and musically, feeling gifted and unique. Throughout the chorus, he repeats how he's not riding any wave because he's too busy making his own waves. A reference to the slang that people often say, like, yo, you wave riding. Meaning copying someone else's style or trying to be someone else. Typically, musically, is when I hear that phrase used. Cudi clearly has no problem in that department, and is more often open to being different rather than not. This is another song featuring Pharrel, as well as being produced by him too. Longest track on the album, over 6 minutes long, and the latter part is a nice beat switch up with Pharrell and Cudi tackling the outro together. The music video version does not include this latter 2 minutes or so of the song, so keep in mind which version you listen to. Also, by the way, the music video includes a whole bunch of cameos and whatnot. It features like rappers like A$AP Rocky, A$AP Nast, Jaden Smith and Willow Smith, King Chip, and a few other artists as well, I believe. And they're all just dancing, having fun. It's cool, and they all just surfing, riding their own ways. It's just nice and wholesome. It's pretty cool. You know what I mean? I like it. I like to see them having fun. But Not my favorite track on the album, but I can definitely listen to it more than a few of the other tracks. It's somewhere up there in the middle as far as my personal preference and how I'd rank them. Overall, Passion, Pain, and Demon Slayin is one of my favorite albums by Kid Cudi. If you couldn't tell already, it's his second longest album, right behind Speed and Bullet to Heaven, and another double disc, like I mentioned earlier. Cudi truly shows how prolific he is and varied of an artist he is by releasing 2 double disc albums within a year of each other and having completely different sounds. This is a top 3 album of Kid Cudi for me, and ranks pretty highly, I'd say, in my favorite albums of all time, honestly. It's a return form, more hip hop sounding than his previous 2 albums, which were okay. Subject matter wise, it covers a lot of the same topics as previous albums do. He doesn't vary that up much, so if that's what you're expecting, no, you're not going to get that. Feature wise, this has more features on it than his previous 2 albums. More so like Man on the Moon 1 and 2, I'd say, really. You know, they got Pharrell, got Will Smith. No King Chip, though, unfortunately, but hey, you know. And Andre 3000, he did his thing, you know. Production wise, connecting again with Plain Pat and Dot the Genius really helped bring Cudi and his music to the. Whew. I look forward to listening to Man on the Moon 3 and seeing what he comes up with and who he has featured on it, as well as who he has under production as well. I'm just looking forward to it, you know. And hey, that's all for now, guys. This is all 6 of Kid Cudi's solo studio albums. What's left is just Wizard, his album that he did with Dot the Genius. It was a rock album. And Kids See Ghosts, which was the album he did with Kanye West. I did not do those because those are those collab albums, so they're a little bit different. It wasn't just Cudi's musical interest and whatnot. Maybe I do them if they're requested. If you want me to do those 2 too, I have listened to them. I will give them another listen just for this. I'm just saying right now, they weren't my favorites, but I will review them honestly and give you guys my open and honest opinion as usual. Just leave it in the comment section and let me know if you want to hear those too. But as always, thank you for watching Enigmatic Entertainment, Enigmatic Reviews, Passion, Pain, and Demon Slayin. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Click the thumbs up button if you like the video. Follow on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Follow the tit. You know. And thank you for watching, guys. Links in the description box below. And tell me what you want to see. I'm waiting for Man on the Moon 3. And that's where I want to be. I'll see you guys on that review later on. Hopefully it's out soon. Catch you next time.